Welcome to Tradutex Portuguese Lessons Podcast. On this episode, we're going to talk about regular ER verbs in the present. But just before that, I want to let you know that Tradutex Portuguese Lessons Podcast is now on Patreon. So if you want to support this project to carry on, and if you want to get some exclusive content, you can become a Patreon. Go to www.patreon.com/tradutex and learn more about it. I want to thank to my patrons Francine Brown, Gita Barknovitz, Philip French, Rebecca Hunt and Audrey Jenkins for their support. Muito obrigada. So on today's episode, we're going to cover regular ER verbs in the present. So if you haven't listened to the episode about regular AR verbs, I recommend you to go back and check on episode number 12, episódio número 12. But today, we're going to cover regular ER verbs. So because they are regular, we need first to understand the concept of a regular verb. So to understand the concept of a regular verb, we need to start understanding what the infinitive of a verb is. So in English, for example, all the infinitives, they have the preposition to in front. For instance, to do, to make, to go, to write, to eat, to drink, etc. The equivalent of that in Portuguese is having an ending, or an AR ending, or an ER ending, or an IR ending. And today we're going to focus on the ER ending. So let's pick, for instance, the verb to eat. That in Portuguese is the verb comer. Comer. I'm stressing the ending er because there's a rule in Portuguese about the stress of words saying that if the word ends at the letter R, we need to stress the last syllable of it. So all the infinitives end at R, so all the infinitives, we need to stress the last syllable. So to eat is the verb comer. Let's spell it. Let me spell it for you in Portuguese. Comer. C-O-M-E-R. Comer. So this is a regular verb. It means that if you drop that ending of the infinitive, the ER ending, and if you add the right set of endings, you get your verb done. And with the same set of endings, you can conjugate many other regular ER verbs in the present. So let me give you an example. Let's go through the verb comer. So first of all, drop that ER out of the infinitive and you get that first beginning of the word. In Portuguese, if I spell it, you will get the letters C-O-M, and it's that at that beginning of the verb that we're going to add the endings. And the ending for the first person, it's just the letter O, so O. So if you want to say I eat, I say eu como. Eu como. So what I did is that I had the verb comer, C-O-M-E-R. I dropped the ending, so I dropped the E-R. I got that first part of the verb, C-O-M, and I added the letter O. So I got the first person, I eat, and I have eu como. Eu como. Please don't forget to stress the second to last syllable, so we're not stressing the ending, and the letter O on this one, because it's unstressed, we should pronounce it like a soft U. So I'll repeat it once again. I eat, eu como. Okay, so let's move on to our informal you. If you still remember from other episodes where we did verbs, our informal you is the pronoun tu. Tu. And now I have to do exactly the same thing I did for the eu. So I have to pick the infinitive, comer. I drop that ER out of the infinitive. I got that first part of the verb, C-O-M, and now I will add the ending. And the ending for the tu is just the letters E-S. I have to tell you, when I'm saying the letters, I'm using the Portuguese alphabet so we can practice. Okay, so if I want to say you eat, and you informal you because I'm talking to a friend, because I'm talking to someone much younger than me, like a child or a teenager, because I'm talking to someone that I'm very close to, someone from my family, for instance, I will say tu comes. That's right. So notice well what we do with the ending. We kind of drop it too. So we're pronouncing that sh at the end because of the letter S. We're stressing the beginning of the verb, co. Let me repeat again. Tu comes. Tu comes. So that ES at the end, we're completely dropping the vowel. So the S gone. And what we're doing is a soft sh at the end. And don't forget, very important, to stress the first syllable. So far we have I eat, informal you eat, and that is eu como, tu comes. Do you want to do it again? Let's do it again. Eu como, tu comes. That's right. So now let's have a look at our formal you. So the word for formal you is the word você. Você. And one little secret about the formal you verb forms, you basically drop that S we had on the informal you and you get your formal you done. So you had tu comes. Now we drop that S, so we drop the sound sh. And to say you eat, but formally we say você come. How do we spell it? We spell it C-O-M-E. So if you still struggle with your alphabet, don't forget you can go and listen again to episode number 4, and you will have everything you need to understand the Portuguese alphabet. So we do C-O-M-E, but we kind of drop that E at the end. We stress the first syllable, co. So we do você come. Put it in a sentence. You eat bread. Do you know the word for bread? The word for bread is pão. So you eat bread would be você come pão. Okay, so we did I eat, informal you eat, and formal you eat. And that will be, you can repeat after me. I think the repetition will help your memory as we go. So, eu como, tu comes, você come. And now, good news, because if you know você come, you also know he eats and she eats. As in Portuguese, the third person singular, he and she, use exactly the same verb form for the formal you, você. So if you know você, you know he and you know she because it's exactly the same verb form. But we will say it, so we can put them along, the form along with the pronoun. So we do he eats, ele come. Let's do it again. Ele come. And now she eats. Ela come. Ela come. I know many of you sometimes struggle with the right pronunciation for the pronouns he and she. So let me help you with this as well. So he, we start with a closed e, and then we drop the last e or the last e of the word. So we do il. If you don't know how do we spell it, in Portuguese, il is E-L-E. But the thing is, those e's, they have different pronunciations. So we do il. And you drop that last e. Il. But now the feminine, it's much easier. We open the first e as a e, and we go ela. E-L-A. Ela. So let's do it again. So far we did I eat, informal you eat, formal you eat, he eats, and she eats. Are you ready to repeat this? So come with me, let's repeat it again. Eu como, tu comes, você come, ele come, ela come. That's right, so let's start the plural pronouns. The first one we have is the word for we. Let's say we eat. And to say we eat, we go nós. That is the word for we. Nós comemos. Nós comemos. So the verb form for the nós is always a bit longer than the other ones because the ending of this form is also longer. So we have 4 letters just for the ending. In Portuguese, E, M, O, S. So what happens with this one is that because we add the syllable, because the ending is so long, the beginning of the verb, that for all the other forms was stressed. So remember we had como, comes, come, always stressing the beginning. Now because we added an extra syllable, we changed the stress. So the stress is not on the beginning, will be on the second to last syllable again. So that's always the thing. But because we have 3 syllables, instead of being the first one, is the second one. And that makes a change on the way we pronounce the first O of the word. So before we were stressing the O, but now that O becomes like a sound of a U, like a double O in English. So we do comemos, comemos. So this word has twice the letter O, and they are both unstressed O's, and we pronounce them both as U. And our stress is on the me. Comemos. Comemos. So let's do it again. We eat. Nós comemos. Nós comemos. Okay, let's do it from the beginning again. Every time we add another verb form, we can go back and see if you still remember all the ones that we did before. So starting from the top, eu como, tu comes, você come, ele come, ela come, nós comemos. Okay, just one more to go, and that last one will cover 3 different pronouns, so pay attention to this one. So first, our plural you. So we don't have for the plural you, we don't have a formal or an informal as we do for the singular you. So we only have one word for a plural you. When I say a plural you, it means that if I'm talking to a group of people, if I want to say, you guys, you eat bread, for instance. So how do I say that? I say the word vocês, which is just like the formal singular you, but with an S at the end. So vocês. And now our verb form is comem. Comem. So our ending now changed again. So remember that we picked the infinitive comer, we dropped the er, or in Portuguese er. We picked that first beginning of the verb, com, and now the ending we need to add is em. Em. But I'm not stressing the ending. I'm stressing the second to last syllable that on this particular word, because we only have 2 syllables, corresponds to the first one. So my pronunciation is comem. Comem. Please leave your mouth open at the end. Okay, that sound ein we have to do it with the mouth open. Don't close your lips. And focus on stressing the first co. Comem. Okay, I'll repeat again. So if I want to say, you guys eat bread, something like that, I say, vocês comem pão. Vocês comem pão. Okay, so let's repeat again. Vocês comem. And with this same comem, we can use it for the two pronouns we have in Portuguese to translate the pronoun they. So we have a masculine they, eles, and a feminine they, elas. So they are just like he and she with s at the end. So if I want to say they eat, referring to just men or to a mixed group of men and women, I say eles comem. Eles comem. But if I just want to say they eat, referring to just a group of women, I say elas comem. Elas comem. Okay, so we've done all the verb forms. I've explained what each pronoun means, and you have all the endings. So we'll start from the top. Are you ready to repeat all of this? Okay, so if it helps, you can, imagine a little sentence. I picked bread, pão, as an example, but it could be whatever food you know in Portuguese. You can put it in a little sentence to make even more sense to you. So let's do it. I eat. Eu como. You, informal you, eat. Tu comes. You, formal you, eat. Você come. He eats. Ele come. She eats. Ela come. We eat. Nós comemos. You, plural you, eat. Vocês comem. They eat, masculine. Eles comem. They eat, feminine. Elas comem. So we'll just repeat this once again, but now without English, just Portuguese. Are you ready? Vamos repetir. Eu como. Tu comes. Você come. Ele come. Ela come. Nós comemos. Vocês comem. Eles comem. Elas comem. So now that you know the set of endings that we need for the ER verbs, you can pick any verb that you know it's regular and you can apply the same exact endings. I'll give you an example. For instance, the verb to drink is in Portuguese the verb beber. Beber, let me spell it for you. B, E, B, E, R. And beber is also a regular ER verb. So if I want to go through this verb, all I need to do is to pick the verb beber, drop the er out of the infinitive, so you get the first three letters, in this case B, E, B, and you just apply these same endings we've just learned for comer. Do you want to try? So repeat with me. Eu bebo. Tu bebes. Você bebe. Ele bebe. Ela bebe. Nós bebemos. Vocês bebem. Eles bebem. Elas bebem. And this was just an example. Now you can actually conjugate hundreds of regular ER verbs in the present in Portuguese. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you did, please share with your friends. And I'll see you next week. Até para a semana. Tchau, muito obrigada.